we're just not going to have anything in the store that we don't believe is going to sell as an excellent product. We believe in everything that we have here, and we don't want to push something that we see as not worthy onto our patrons just because it's in here.
Yeah.
It's just, that's not how we operate.
I can't wait to fill out my request form for the different bourbons that I need you guys to cultivate for me. Very selfishly.
Consider.
Well, and that's another thing is we are always listening. We will bring in specific labels of things because one person asked to have them.
Wow.
For example, there was one guy.
Talk about communities.
we are here to support the community and the tastes of the community. And for example, there's one guy that comes in every couple of weeks. He gets his case of McMaster's Canadian whiskey for his hunting trips. We don't even put it on sale. Nobody else can buy it, but we brought it in for him. It's for him. And that is that. I think that's called being a part of the community.
Nobody else does that.
We're going to have a big conversation after this. But we've talked a lot naturally about the spirits, the beers, the wines. Talk about just the environment, because it is you guys have a selection that is beyond impressive. But talk about, we already talked about, Sasha the Hams Bear when you walk in the door.
Rainbow Road.
What do you think is the next thing that you personally gravitate to when you walk in the door?
Yeah, I think, well, first and foremost, the overarching idea here is to create a warm, welcoming, clean, tidy space that you feel comfortable in. And we've all been to those liquor stores that have boxes piled high. You can't see over the aisles. You can't navigate your cart through the different just columns of product. And there's fluorescent light above you. And, the one person who's operating the store is just chewing their bubble gum and reading their magazine behind. We are not about that. We are about helping you get the product that you might not even know you want yet. And along with that is a huge emphasis on clean, natural, nature, really. We have a whole live plant wall in here, which I'll kind of walk you through how it works. Is there above our long stretch of 18 doors of the beer cooler is 3 gutters, and these gutters are at just slightly downward angles feeding into each other. And in these three gutters are a whole variety of different plants. And so how it works is that there are solar panels on the roof of the building. Obviously, those capture the sunlight. And then those are what power the coolers. And then actually even more electrical components in the store. But most of the power goes to powering the coolers. The coolers then create condensation through evaporation, and that water gets pumped down and funneled into a giant rain barrel in the basement. Then that rainwater, or that condensed water, gets pumped up to the top corner of that gutter system. And then that water is constantly flowing through the gutters. And then once it's done flowing through the gutters and the plants have gotten what they need, it goes back down and then gets fed into the St. Paul municipal water system. So we have an emphasis on being as carbon free as we can, and we're hoping to get fully off the municipal grid in the coming years, which would be just awesome, because it's let's just give back however we can, and renewable energy and other things of that ilk are an important thing for us. But again, it's just creating a comfortable, non-intimidating, non-overwhelming environment, because like I said before, this industry and this culture can be overwhelming and intimidating, and you've never tried blah, blah, blah. That's not what we're about. We're here to be like, hey, let's taste through this thing. Let's just break open this 4-pack, see if you like it. We don't want you spending money on things that you might not even like. So
that's what I love. And you said that multiple times throughout our little tour here and even before the podcast. And I think that's awesome, because that's the opposite for what other liquor stores models are. They just want you to buy. I don't really care if you like it or not.
Yeah. People work hard for their money. We are all we're doing the best we can every day. And we don't want to give you a product that you are upset with or just dislike, because that's not fair to you. That's not fair to the people you might share it with. We want to meet you where you're at, listen to your taste, listen to what you like, listen to what food you're eating with this possible spirit or wine or whatever it might be. and giving you the most optimized craft beverage experience that we can. And that comes from listening. That comes from understanding every product we have here, tasting things, actively understanding where they're coming from, what's the story behind them. And that's why we love supporting local, supporting regional, because those stories are that much more special to us, because we know the actual humans making the product. We know the actual story behind the organizations making these products, and we just want to keep supporting those people that we support.
So speaking of local, tell us the story behind the moss wall.
Yeah, the moss wall is actually a really cool concept that Matt Kennevan had the idea. I think he was probably, I don't know the full story, but he probably saw something online, and it's basically what we've got above on another section of wall in the store is bird's eye view made up of different colored petrified mosses. And the bird's eye view is the area in which the two rivers, the Minnesota River and the Mississippi River, come together just right in our front yard here. And then there's a little green dot made of a different colored moss that is like you are here, and it is the literal location of the store. And the reason Matt decided to do that is just being able to, he would explain it much better than I can, but it's just understanding, acknowledging that this land was here before we were. This land was the home and the grounds of people groups that we just can't even, we just have no real understanding of at this point. And so it's just a way to pay homage to the centuries and centuries of this land, giving back to those people and providing for those people. And this land continues to provide for us. And so we just want to be able to acknowledge where we are in the history of this region in St. Paul and the greater Twin Cities. But
I love that, just because being Canadian, I mean, Canada right now it's in a time of reconciliation with the Indigenous communities up there, and so that really just spoke to me when you brought that up prior to recording, because it's something that, as a Canadian, somebody who grew up in smaller towns in British Columbia, like very huge Indigenous populations, where you're right, like it was their land first, and I think Canada's taking steps anyways into reconciliation and paying honor to those peoples, but us up north have a long way to go, and it's just really cool that among everything that you guys are doing, that little piece of it is also displayed in your brewery or in your tap. It's also kind of a tap room here, but in your depot.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and we are going to be the first to acknowledge that we don't have the answers, that we are fully acknowledging this is a company made up of predominantly white people, cisgendered people, and we will be the first to acknowledge that is a very small scope of worldview and understanding. And that has been an emphasis for Matt and for the rest of the company, is how can we not only acknowledge our own privilege and be aware of what our voices mean in the industries and the cultures that we work in, but also how can we then amplify those voices? How can we use whatever platform we have, whatever tools we have, to come alongside and not be like the raise up people, but like just empowering. We want to bring equity. We want to bring a safe and diverse perspective to this otherwise very whitewashed, cisgendered, male-dominated industry. And granted, that's ripe coming from a white guy sitting next to just two other, just like we are the prototypical, character for this industry. And so
hipster beer drinkers.
Yeah, hipster beer drinkers.
Isha, you're white now.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
But we can't gloss over, because those acknowledgments are awesome with really everything that the Moss Wall pays tribute to. But we can't gloss over the fact that you basically told us that it's zombie moss. You gotta explain
yeah.
that.
Okay, so yes, it is petrified moss is what I was told. This organism is neither living nor dead. It kind of plumes up with humidity and then kind of shrinks down when it's a little bit drier out. But otherwise, it needs no sunlight. It needs no water. It looks like a moss-covered wall varying shades of green, and it takes no maintenance. So
The undead moss. Love
so
it.
yeah, we got it. Okay, so we ordered it through a company down south somewhere, but the actual moss was sourced in Siberia.
No way. I thought you were gonna say like Japan or something.
Nope,
like that.
it's Siberia, and we basically got the pallet of it within a week of Russia invading Ukraine.
Wow.
And so I saw like the return address on it, and I was like I know
This ain't going back.
I know Siberia is not Russia.
Yeah.
But like, was kind of the feeling. I was like, oh, here we go supporting, but like we didn't know what we didn't
of
know.
course.
So
They didn't happen to smuggle any good Russian vodka in with it, did they? Because that's all pretty much never coming back at this point.
right. No, nothing stashed away, nothing tucked into the packaging, unfortunately. But
So directly under the moss wall, you have some sample. You have your taps available.
yeah,
The most important piece of the tap room. We keep calling it tap room, but you all know what we're talking about.
So you
for
have
legal
the-
purposes, Beer and Dabbler Depot is a liquor store.
Yes, liquor store.
and
but you-
has an adjacent coffee shop.
Yes.
So you have the sampler taps there for, again, educational purposes.
Yep.
If people want to know a little bit more about some of your products, you have straight up some samples for them without even having to open up a 4-pack or anything like that.
Yeah.
Tell us what's directly next to the sampler.
Yeah. Okay. So, like Isha mentioned, we have a 8-system tap line that is kind of a rotating just tap tower that we can sample things out to guests and they can better understand what they possibly will or will not purchase. But next to that directly is what I call it the dealy wheel. I don't think we have an official name for it yet, but
Picture Price is Right,
I was
ladies
gonna
and
say,
Price is right.
Can we get a Bob Barker?
it is it's a 36 panel 850, 900 pound steel wheel that actually the fabricators over at Can Wonderland welded up for us. And inside of it is a couple old like John Deere, like think about like 1908, like John Deere tractors. Like it was
when
just,
John
it
Deere
was
was
just
still alive.
It was just, yeah. It was just metal wheels that had spikes on them to like get into the dirt. And they're like that thick, like they're very small, but basically the fabricators took 2 of those wheels, put them on an axle, and created a giant wheel, a spinning wheel around it. And on the wheels, on the different panels, there are various incentives that when you're a part of our rewards program as a customer here, you can spin the wheel 1 time per visit. And you can range from, points added onto your rewards account. You can get local deals. So we've partnered with neighborhood companies, for example, the dry cleaners across the street, the car wash down the road, breweries like Bad Weather and Clutch, like buy one, get ones. And then you can also get stickers and koozies, just fun little merch. And it's just a way to incentivize people to not only visit the store and possibly get free stuff, but sign up for our rewards program and get those dollars back to you in the form of points and dollars off, and in the long run it ends up paying for itself in some pretty significant dividends.
So being part of the rewards program, do those people, because I'm sure like they get on an email list or something like that, or do they get invites into some of these like event tastings and things like that? Or is that all like separate? Do you guys contract out for people to like do that and use your space?
No, 100%. So we run all of our different private events. It is our buyers, our experts that are organizing and coordinating and running those events. And those can range from, okay, this week's class is exotic Spanish wine, like hard to find Spanish wine, or we've had classes of like, let's just blind taste 10 different rye whiskeys. And like these range from a $22 bottle up to a $250 bottle of rye. Like there's a lot of variation in these things. And so, yeah, we can actually chart the purchase history of certain customers, and we can kind of create different pools of customers. So we know, like, for example, Hoppy's coming in, getting the expensive whiskey. Maybe let's put this guy into the pool of like, would he be interested in getting specific emails about like this whiskey tasting coming up in a month and a half?
Yeah,
like,
don't send me the email about the Jepson Malort special. I don't care about it.
Just sign him up. I don't need the email. Just get signed up.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
And that's another way in which we're intentionally being proactive about getting people exposed to products that they don't even, one, possibly even know exist, or two, might not have access to just through availability or like just fiscal reasons. Like I know me, like I'm usually not comfortable spending more than $40 on a bottle of anything. Like that's just not the world I live in. And
I'm from Canada, so we're spending $40 on everything.
It's over $40 for Chips and Malort up there.
Dude,
jeez.
Seriously, for a bottle of just like Smirnoff vodka, it is $30 to $40.
hey, but you got free healthcare.
Yeah.
You're waiting in line, but
cheers to that.
you're not paying.
Yeah, I heard to stay clear of the free clinics in the United States.
Oh yeah.
And then speaking of It's Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he's watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so he knows how that goes.
Oh yeah. But it is, the rewards program does kind of play into how we can then approach and expose what we feel are top of the line and very well produced products to people that might not have even been given the option. So it's an important part to us. Education, accessibility, and visibility is our huge factors for our business model.
That's awesome.
Love it. I mean, really, at this point, Isha, unless you have any other questions,
No.
I mean, anything you feel like we've missed in really capturing what this space is? I mean, hopefully this is the first of many, outings like this, but anything you feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about.
And for those who are watching, I will you'll be able to see, or for those who are listening, if you go and check out the video on our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see shots.
He's just gonna spend the next 90 minutes going around the store and getting video clips that are gonna be added on YouTube over the audio. So it's worth your time to go to YouTube.
So if you're listening on the podcast side, please migrate over to YouTube and actually watch this episode, because everything that Jordan has been explaining, you'll be able to see it, and then hopefully that'll get you into the store, because it's truly incredible. But yeah, anything we missed?
I mean, really just emphasizing, I think, the studio space that we're currently sitting in. It is my playground. I am the digital content producer, so I'm in here taking high-end photography of products. I'm in here doing podcasts with great friends. We're recording just quick, tasty style video, cocktail recipes and beer reviews. And even just a more recent example is me and our beer buyer, Liz, where we tasted through 5 very different Christmas ales or winter ales. And
great video, by the way.
Link in comments below. We basically drank these 5 different winter ales and likened them to famous Christmas movie or holiday movie characters that share characteristics. So, for example, we tasted a good example, Summit's Winter Ale. For me, in my mind, it is nostalgic. It is kind of my prototypical winter ale. It is comfortable. Feels like my neighborhood because they're literally across the street. And we can smell them brewing on brew days. We just can smell it. And we liken that to Ralphie from A Christmas Story, because the neighborhood kid, the kid next door, that I feel like for me, that movie has always been around, even though it came out in the late 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, so for you, it's always been around?
Yeah, it has always been around, but I know for an older population, they're like, oh, that's just that other Christmas movie that came out when I was 10 years. It's just it felt nostalgic, kid next door, so it's Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
It's just when people pull out potato chips, which president does this look like? But actually, I mean, shameless plug, and we haven't even recorded this yet, but we've already got an idea in the works to make fun of Isha's home country. Are you a South Park fan by any chance?
I wouldn't call myself a fan. I'm generally vaguely aware of a lot of references, but I grew up even King of the Hill and Family Guy were totally off limits in my house growing up, and then I feel like I just kind of outgrew. By the time I was making my own decisions, I was already just out of that. Yeah. Hey, I'm a big Rick and Morty guy.
Okay, but, if you're a Rick and Morty guy, I'm telling you, you'll love South Park. I'm getting into it now because
this will be a further conversation for sure. But so this one, if you've heard some of them, are you familiar with how they make fun of Canadians?
Yeah.
So basically, what we're gonna do now that they've released the Canadian World Junior roster, which they kick that off on the 26th of December every year, and
what
we're
we
gonna
call
go
Boxing Day up north.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a real thing.
Like, what's he talking about?
Yeah, right.
It's our Black Friday.
Well, no, what's he talking? What's he talking about?
What's he talking about?
But in South Park, they go through this iteration, and a lot of you have probably heard it and don't even know where it comes from. But he's like, "I'm not your guy, buddy. I'm not your buddy, friend.
Yeah,
I'm not your friend, guy." And we're basically going to go through the entire roster, pictures and names, and we're going to decide whether they're a guy, a buddy, or a friend.
Oh, that's the three. That's the qualifier.
They got to be one of the three.
Got it.
Every player on the roster is one of the three, or they're just a dude, and that means they're American. So basically, the whole American roster is just going to be dudes, but...
Yeah. Okay, I like that. I can get behind that. I was going to say, are we going to talk hockey on this podcast at all?
Sure, we absolutely can. You guys are a stone's throw away from the X, and actually,
I've got notes.
Yeah.
Oh, you got notes. Let's do it.
Let's go.
They're up here. I wrote them down so that they would be up here.
Well, all right, we're going to start positive or negative?
I'm going to start with more of a question.
Okay. Oh, all right.
We are streaky.
That's a statement.
All right, I guess. Okay. No, that was the first part of the question.
We are streaky.
We are inconsistent. What is our issue?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I mean, the easy answer, which we won't stick with, but the easy answer is health. There's a lot of guys that have been in and out of the lineup. We're still missing some guys that hopefully later this week as we record, this is Tuesday the 13th, depending on, just how Isha's night goes. This could be up tomorrow. This could be up in 3 days. We'll see. But we're hoping to have a couple of key players back. We think that Duhaim's going to be back soon. We think that Ryan Hartman, which...
I was going to say.
I don't know, Jordan. You're obviously, based on what you do, you're probably fairly plugged into TikTok.
Yeah.
Did you see the video of the hairdresser who basically broke the news of what Ryan Hartman's actual injury is?
Nope, I have not heard.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
Yes. Show
live react. Live react.
But
Sota Pod exclusive.
In general, it is an injury thing, but I do think that there's just some issues with the team. Obviously, we know that we can't just go off of last year, which was a historic year for the team.
Yeah, it was great. Felt really nice.
Things were awesome. And largely, I mean, Isha and I both believe the Wild are probably a wild card team, maybe like a 3 seed in the Central.
Yeah.
It's a tough division too, right?
It is, yeah. That's no knock to the Wild. For me, I'm just... We're not seeing a lot of consistency. And part of that is injuries, right? And consistency, like you already said, why are they inconsistent? I mean consistency with the roster, being that we seem like we're doing a lot of moving and shaking, a lot of shuffling of the lines. Like, perfect case for me... Matt Boldy, who, for my money, is our second best forward on the team, he has not had any consistency with who he's playing with.
Right.
His production has suffered because of it, and I do think that once things settle in, again, maybe if we get healthy, maybe we figure out what the right line combinations are, things click a little bit better. Because really, the only things that we've known to be true are that Zuccarello and Kaprizov will never be separated. That's really all we know for sure on offense.
And I know Jay Fresh was ripping on Greenway today. I just have to point that out. I usually love Jay Fresh, but that's a textbook example of how the eye test and analytics have to be put together when judging hockey players. He was out early in the season too. He's been in and out, lingering injuries. I feel like the Jeek line, him, Eck, and Foligno, they shut down.
They're a driver for
the
team.
identity line. Yeah,
they are, because I mean, man, it's not that they're going to score every goal for us. It's that they're a line that teams have to account for. Like, no one knows how to play that.
The other team is always aware when they're on the ice.
Well, and the thing, they're playing against the McDavids. They're playing against the Crosbys. They're playing against the Ovies, which that frees up the matchups for Kaprizov's line.
Exactly.
And guess what, though? We're going to stay on the McDavid topic. The biggest issue this year, which I think has looked better of late, to start the year, who I think for our money besides Kaprizov might be the best player on the team, Jonas Brodin. He has not been the Jonas Brodin that we've come to know and love. He has looked better lately, but he is literally, like, when you talk about just defensive stalwart, can skate with anyone. Like, he can skate backwards like
the stick
McDavid
always is in the way. And if it's not the stick, it's the body.
Yep.
He's always laying out. He is a player's player. I think
and
that
he's a guy who we never had to worry about.
No.
And this year it's like
it was automatic.
And this year it's like, oh man, we're seeing some some holes in his game. And Dumba, I hate to say it, regressed even more defensively.
Yeah.
Never thought that could happen, but it happened. So I think just compared to last year where for the most part with how the roster was made up, everything kind of went, I don't want to say perfect because they didn't win the cup or anything, but like it went well through the season. Whereas this year, hiccups out of the gate. You've lost a scoring player in Fiala who played well with your young guy Boldy. Yeah. Some prospects haven't popped. Like Rossi has, he's back down the AHL. That I think is the best decision. He's getting his confidence back, but he hasn't produced at the NHL level yet. So like growing pains for an organization, and they aren't the same team as they were last year. They're close, but they aren't. And I think that to expect that they were going to take a step forward with a different, like with some differences in the roster, I think
they lost Kevin Fiala. Like you can't just not bring that up, right? They lost Kevin Fiala. They did okay things to like mitigate the damage, but you still lost Kevin Fiala.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That's how many goals did he score? 25, 30 or something?
I think it was, between there.
So like that's a chunk of your scoring that's gone. It's not like the Wild, their scoring is dried up at all. Funny enough, in the beginning of the season, their scoring was there, dried up a little bit as of late. But it's just like they're not complete yet. They're always gonna, this is historic. They're always a top center away, right?
Yeah.
And now their second line, or whatever, because they don't really have a second line in the Minnesota Wild. They just have lines.
Yeah, right.
But like they need another score in the line. Okay, before we end off the show, I got to show you this.
Yeah.
And,
blast though.
Anyway, I googled this guy today, and he was an NHL player. I was like, oh my god. So I'm chit-chatting with him while I'm just deep diving into his life, where he grew up, his fiance's Instagram. I was going deep. Then all of a sudden a video pops up about how he got hurt, and it's him in a fight with a guy. He didn't even get a punch in. The fight lasted like 5 seconds, and the guy somehow broke his shoulder. And so I was disappointed in him. I was like, come on, you gotta at least get a punch in. So I turned the screen around. I was like, I'm watching your fight video. And he was like, you need to swing next time. You gotta get a punch in there before you break a shoulder. And he was just like, you're right. Yeah, of course I'm right. He's never gonna come back to Salon, but he might win the next fight.
God, so bless this person, bless that girl. She should be an official ambassador for Minnesota Wild.
And guess what? I am not someone like, more or less, like I ignore people that say stupid ass shit on Twitter. But there was one person coming out being like, wow, this just makes me rethink everything about hairdressers. Like if they're doing that, like I'm just not going to get haircuts anymore. Like, buddy, what the hell do you have to hide?
Yeah.
Like, I just Googled your name and nothing pops up. You're fine. Like, who gives a shit?
Right.
This is incredible.
I pointed out to our friends, Wild Twitter and everything, that like I just thought like she was awesome because like I'm an old school hockey guy. I love hockey fights, and I was like, yeah, fucking race. If you're gonna break anything, you might as well throw a punch there. This girl's like, she's calling it how it is. I didn't realize that
You missed it.
I didn't realize that his injury was actually never disclosed.
Yeah.
So she broke the news that he had a broken shoulder.
And that was great because in the group chat, we got a couple of different Wild podcasts, like all in a Twitter DM chat. And one of the people chimes in, they're like, wait, is this the first time anyone's heard that he broke his shoulder?
Upper body, baby. That's all we need to know. That's wild.
Pretty soon it's just going to be body injury.
It's you talk to the hairstylists, you talk to the estheticians, you talk to the
They know the scoop, dude.
That is some tea getting spilled every single day.
Oh, yeah.
They are
It's
the
like a
ones
therapy session for them. They
it's
just start opening up and going
Michael Russo just needs these people on his kind of like source list to just
Dude, I bet he got this.
That was like the comment from everyone too, like, holy shit, did this person just put Russo out of a job?
that like you get people talking in a space like my wife is like, I am sometimes an esthetician, I am sometimes a therapist, and all of the time I'm scared. So
my mother and my grandmother, they've been in the esthetician business forever. My grandmother owned a few salons. My mom has managed them, and it's like the same thing. Like she'll just be like, do you want to hear some stories today? And I'll like sit back, make some popcorn. I'm like, go. And it's just crazy. Like people just open up, and maybe it's the trust factor, especially in like the health and beauty industry, but still, man, like that was my favorite part of last week.
let's get them on the payroll.
Oh my goodness. We got to bring her on the podcast.
Yeah.
She does this with all athletes too.
We need to get her in the Dabblerverse.
Heck
there
yeah.
you go, there you go.
Dabbler hair and beauty tips. That can be a division of this company, right?
You've got a coffee shop. Why not have like a beauty salon?
A tax accounting firm. We could do a
We
car
gotta get one
shop.
of those trampoline things in the back where everyone's playing dodgeball and jumping around. Yep.
See, the opportunities for the
have a couple beers
Dabblerverse
first.
are endless. Sign the waiver. opportunities are endless.
Jordan,
Sign the Apple agreement.
dude, this has been so much fun. Like, I
Hell
hope
yeah.
that we can do more of these, especially in this space with you. I mean, you've jumped on the podcast a few times, but we haven't been live together, especially because I haven't lived here. But now that I'm here, I'm excited to do more of this. Is there anything that you want to plug other than obviously the Winter Dabbler coming up, other than the YouTube channel? Everyone, please go subscribe. Before we end off the show here, anything else? Final plugs. The floor is yours. We're
really starting to feel the rhythm and get into it. So we're excited for the next few months and the next year and seeing what is going to come to be.
Cheers, guys. I look forward to the next one.
Cheers. Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Signing off, I'm Isha Dromey alongside Jordan, alongside Hoppy. This has been the Sota Pod. We good, guys?
We're great.
Gucci.
Don't fear, just drink some beer and stay wild.